Hi, Andrew Sheaf again with Mastering Flow. I help triathletes identify the critical skills for fast swimming and provide them with the tools to learn those skills in any location. Thanks to everyone for all the feedback and the comments about my last video. I really appreciate it. There were lots of great questions and many kind words. Many triathletes come to the sport later in life and they start swimming well into adulthood. They suffer from adult-onset swimming. For some reason, adults struggle to learn more than kids. And adults that start swimming later in life never seem to acquire the skills that those do that start swimming younger. In my last video, I gave you that reason. Kids have a much longer and more patient exposure to the water, and they learn to get comfortable in the water. It's a step adult onset swimmers universally skip. I showed you how getting comfortable in the water is the first and most important step in the process of improving your swimming. It's more important than learning the specific skills of freestyle. I've been working with individuals in the water for over 20 years, from learn to swim athletes to NCAA champions and Olympic medalists. I've done so both inside the NCAA collegiate system and independently. Along the way, I've been obsessed with improving swimming skill. I've learned anything and everything I can from anyone that had something to offer. As I mentioned last time, one of the big insights I had was that adult onset swimming is fundamentally an issue of getting comfortable in the water before learning the specific skills of freestyle swimming. As promised in this video, I'll share with you the framework to make it happen. The first step is to learn to float. Now you may be thinking, I can't float or I don't float. Wrong. There are specific exercises that anyone can do to help you understand how your lungs hold you up in the water. I've never seen them fall short. Once you're able to establish a little bit of comfort and relaxation in some pretty specific positions, it's now time to leverage that comfort in order to maintain a specific position in the water. It's not good enough to be comfortable in any old position. You need to be able to maintain comfort and relaxation when you're in a line as if you were swimming freestyle. If you haven't noticed, air is a huge part of this process. Your lungs are your life preserver, and if there's no air, you will sink. You have to learn how to control your breathing and breathe rhythmically. One of the biggest challenges in swimming is that you can't breathe whenever you want, so you need to be in control of your breathing. Once you can control your breathing, you have to learn how to effectively take a breath while moving forward through the water. Once you can do so, you learned how to get comfortable by relying on your lungs, and you learned how to manage your breathing so that your lungs always have the air they need. Lastly, if you've been around the sport of swimming, you've probably heard the term feel for the water. Swimmers seem to have it, and triathletes seem to have missed the boat. Thought by many to be innate, it's something you can learn, and there are strategies you can use to learn it faster. While there's no trick, and improving it won't magically turn you into an Olympian, it's something you can improve, and it will something that will positively impact your swimming. Consider Steve. He's a big muscular guy, not your typical water athlete, and he swam how he looked. To start, I had him work on floating and relaxing in the water. Then, we slowly started learning how to create leverage on the water so that he could create a relaxed swimming position. Then we worked on controlling his breathing so that he could have the air to float and, of course, the air to live. Once he'd made significant progress, we worked on his breathing mechanics and his feel for the water. However, we never talked about freestyle technique. It's only after these basic skills are in place that becomes relevant. Steve told me he used to watch people swim and would wonder how they weren't dying after a single lap. It's because he wasn't comfortable in the water, and once he was, he could understand how they made it happen. Just like Lena from our last video, I wasn't poolside coaching Steve, and I wasn't getting video feedback either. These are skills he was able to learn on his own. You may be skeptical about the lack of freestyle-specific work. 10 years ago, I would have said the same thing. To be fair, you do have to learn the specifics of freestyle to maximize your improvement. However, that process will be much more effective if you're already comfortable in the water. When you're not, you're going to be using your arms and your legs to avoid drowning rather than using them for what you want, which is to move yourself forward through the water. When you're comfortable, that all goes away. Of course, when you're working on establishing comfort in the water, you'll still have to swim freestyle in order to make sure that you integrate these changes into your swimming. Plenty of freestyle is involved when integrating these skills into your swimming. If you love to train, and I imagine that you do, you might also be concerned. It probably doesn't sound like you'd be doing a ton of work while addressing adult onset swimming. First of all, the goal is not to be spending your time floating for the rest of your life. Just like with learning freestyle, the goal is to get as comfortable in the water as fast as possible so that you can move on to training hard. Likewise, improving these skills does involve a fair amount of swimming because you have to learn how to execute these skills while you're swimming freestyle. Finally, you may be thinking that you've tried this before. Well, so had Steve and so had Lena. The difference is they weren't addressing the real problem, and they weren't doing so in a systematic and progressive way. It's when they did that their progress accelerated. Stay tuned for my next video where I'll describe what becomes possible when you finally address adult onset swimming. If you found this video insightful or helpful in any way, please share it with a friend. Help them understand that even if they started swimming later in life, improving their swimming dramatically is still possible. Share it on social media, send them the link, and I'll see you in the next video.